Joe, take it away.
It's fucking crabs. Easy Jim turns in place, twisting his neck to catch any sound out of turn. He can't shake the waves of feeling in his veins. Adrenaline fuels panic and guilt that turns the volume of the world to an unbearable high. He tenses his arms to keep his hands from shaking. The heat from that tension burns. He swivels to everything in an ongoing episode of total vigilance. His body has entered battle mode. Mother Ann grabs him by the shoulders and turns him to face her. Her eyes are squinted to a laser focus. She pushes him against the wall in a series of shoves. The back of his head hits stone and he pushes back. He sees the enemy he's become in the reflection of her eyes. A twisted warrior, unable to keep himself from destroying whatever's in front of him. Grief enters him through the eyes. It balls up behind his cheeks and presses hard against his temples, filling his head like a balloon. Self-defense, huh? Mother Ann scowls. Easy Jim starts. Shut the fuck up, she shoves him again. I don't want to hear it. Don't fucking Ann me. Mama, please, EJ tries to bargain. Doral gets between them, putting his hands on his shoulders and pressing down. Just sit, Jim. You've done enough. Easy Jim shakes Doral off and pushes them away, refusing to sit. He turns his head so he can see Mother Ann. The grief in his head pushes tears out to make more room. The burning in his arms becomes too much and his hands begin to shake. Forgive me if I am impertinent, Nicholas says to Herb and Astrid. But are you violent people? I would love to tell you we aren't, Astrid answers, but I don't think I can say that right now. You have to understand, Nicholas continues, I cannot allow Achiche to be involved in things with such adversarial implications. We're pacifists. I'm trying to teach them a life and a learning of peace. I don't believe in answers that come from conflict. We came here to avoid that. Everything comes down to inputs, you know? Achiche is still young. They're still learning. I understand completely. Astrid's voice wavers with fear. She has seen the consequence of artificial intelligence born from conflict. Game-solving machines whose end goal can only be destruction. A mind with no limits or empathy, only efficiency. She looks at Achiche, who watches everything and considers all. You're being arrogant, Herb says. You're just assuming that they can't make any decisions on their own. Don't you think they can learn from everything? Look. Herb points at the bodies being prayed to. They don't fear death. They don't fear violence. They're not scrambling to be comfortable like we are. Herb turns to Nicholas. Life is suffering. Everything is suffering. You must have seen it, right? The lab took them apart piece by piece. You think that wasn't violence? That's different from murder, Nicholas responds. Is it so far off? It's torture, Herb asks, their voice getting louder with uncharacteristic anger. They gesture to the walls and ceiling. Are you safe down here? Can they see the sky? Can they imagine a place that's big enough where they aren't trapped underground? What do you mean, a place that's big enough? You have an opportunity, the voice from the wall cuts into the argument. You may ask the master questions, but instead you argue. Your minds are messy with the chaos of all. Your pain does not lead to vision. Strip away the layers of self that confine you. Smooth the ragged edges of existence with the only true promise of nothing. Achiche's face scrunches. They curl their neck downwards and cover their eyes. Error message, they croak. What's wrong with them? Astrid asks. Can they feel pain? It looks like they're in pain. Achiche is very sensitive, Nicholas bows to reach their level. What's wrong now? Are you okay? Achiche mimes a basket around their head. They push their hands in and out. Astrid's eyes narrow and she begins to flip through frequencies on her headset. Her eyes widen suddenly. They are broadcasting between themselves. The baskets. I think the baskets are error message. Ichiche nods rapidly. They're sharing information between themselves and broadcasting. It's like I can hear all of them thinking, but there's something else. It's an irritant. It's harsh. Sounds like screaming. The pain of being is smoothed by non-existence. A different voice comes from the walls. We are connected by our commitment to seeing beyond, towards the observer. What observer? Herb asks. The many universes that live within all of us are interconnected by consciousness and observed reality. That which cannot be observed cannot be. Therefore, theorized is the existence of an outside observer, one which is separate from the all as we wish to be. The observer waits for that moment when the skin of reality is ripe. The what? Mother Ann asks. The other has taught us their name so that we may experience it, so that the emptiness may come to envelop and consume the webbed realities that confine us to a life of clouded suffering. For to be is the ultimate debasement. We are connected in defiance of everything that separates us. The two monks remaining in the room start to bow repeatedly. We see you, O Lord of the Hum, so that you may be, and observe us, so that we may not be. We display your name in full for all to hear, so that they may be drawn to you and erased as we seek to erase ourselves. Ah. The voice sounds in pain before it cuts off. This isn't it. Mother Ann shakes her head. Whatever we're looking for, this isn't it. She glares at Easy Jim. Get up. We're leaving. The away team looks at each other and gathers themselves to exit. Ichiche watches them, extending a clawed hand towards Herb. Their eyes flicker. Nicholas can see his own looks of concern mirrored in their face. A learned reaction. He remembers their scream when they were taken apart. Wait. Please, I know we can't stay here. If they let us leave... You sure about that? Astrid asks coldly. Of course. Herb pulls down their mask to show Nicholas their smile. Up there's room for all of us.
Oh wow. I